Welcome to Insightful Gaming, the realm of the extraordinary. Today, we're about to reveal a jaw-dropping solar warlock build that will render you and your team absolutely indestructible. If you're tired of the monotonous meta and craving some novelty, this build is your golden ticket to a treasure trove of epic loot. Our enthralling build revolves around the fabled mantle of battle harmony exotic combined with our solar fragments and artifact mods. This dazzling fusion transforms you into an unstoppable force, even in the most daunting challenges like Grandmaster and Master Solo Lost Sectors. Every battle allowed me to lay down my well of radiance, and with this exotic, super regeneration skyrocketed. There's potential for further optimization, but what we've concocted is already quite impressive. This exotic features an exotic perk called Absorption Cells, which grants approximately 3% of super energy per kill when your super isn't up, provided your weapon's damage type matches your subclass element. Combine this with a powerful exotic primary, and super generation accelerates even more. Moreover, when your super is full, you get a 25% damage boost for weapons matching your subclass. When you activate your Well of Radiance, you gain the Empower weapon buff instead. If this scorching build ignites your excitement, smash that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel for more electrifying builds and gaming content. Now, let's plunge headfirst into the exhilarating action. The Mantle of Battle Harmony got a sweet buff in the Season of the Deep. When your super is juiced up to the max, your weapon's gonna hit with a level 4 power boost. That's like cranking up your damage from 20 to 25 in PvE. But heads up, you can't double dip with the Solar Surge leg armor mods anymore. On the positive note, this boost is beefier than what you'd net from 3 Surge mods. There's a catch though, the buff only applies if your weapon and subclass damage types are the same. But here's a bonus. Now it stacks with Empowering Rift and other similar buffs and sticks around for 10 seconds in PvE, half of that in PvP. I made a build video on this last season, and it's even more cracked in Season 21. You can match it with any weapon as long as it syncs with your subclass. The biggest buff, in my opinion, is that it can now stack with Empowering Rift and similar buffs like Radiant, which was a no-go before. This means you can pair it with Empowering Rifts, Radiant, and other hot solar weapons like Tommy's Matchbook, Sunshot, Merciless, or Galahorn. Mantle of Battle Harmony is going overpowered, especially for solo players. And check this out, we're also working Tommy's Matchbook into this build, which also got a mega buff this season. Now, let's you apply Scorch, and with our setup, you'll be able to tank the passive damage of Tommy's Matchbook. Mix that with Radiant buff or Empowered Rift and the damage bonus from Mantle of Battle Harmony, and you'll be supercharging your super fast and dealing mega damage. Let's get into the damage rotation of this build. Start every brawl with a healing grenade or drop your healing rift, and then hit him with a quick melee. This deadly combo triggers a bunch of effects. Your melee will tag your enemies with Scorch, and your grenade will give you 2x restoration. Your primary exotic can also apply Scorch to targets. Once an enemy gets 100 Scorch stacks, they ignite, causing a massive solar explosion that staggers even the most OP enemies nearby. This is the Solar Ignition. While all this is going down, use your Solar Exotic primary to rack up the kills and supercharge your super, thanks to your exotic gear. The goal is to build supers, unleash them, and repeat. With this setup, you'll always have a super ready before any fight. As long as you keep blasting enemies, your super will charge up in no time. This cycle is the core of our damage rotation. Our selected fragments make sure your grenades add even more Scorch stacks and damage, taking down the weaklings and singeing the rest. Throughout the fight, you will be using your Tommy's Matchbook as a filler, and Tommy's Matchbook you will be scorching targets left and right, turning them into ignition explosions. Next up, let's discuss the stats for our build. First off, Resilience. This stat's an absolute beast, slashing the damage you take by an impressive 30%. Once you've maxed it out at 100, switch your focus to Discipline. But keep an eye on Recovery, you'll want to keep this champ at tier 5 or higher. Let's get into abilities now. We're rocking Well of Radiance, the big dog's solar warlock power. Then we got Healing Rift, a prime choice for keeping both you and the crew in top fighting shape. Apart from this, your super should be ground 0 for the majority of your battles. Next up, we've got our melee power, Celestial Fire. Drop a blazing twister of 3 solar energy bombs that roast your enemies on contact. And we're also packing healing grenades. These are non-negotiable because we're running Tommy's Matchbook. These nades are your field medics, patching up you and your team on impact and popping out a ball of friendly solar light that hands out restoration like candy. Alternatively, you can also use Fusion Grenade once you are comfortable with this build and are okay with just your Healing Rift. Keep in mind, your Well of Radiance will be up majority of the fights. Next, let's check out the weaponry we've got for this build. As we talked about before, we're kitted out with Tommy's Matchbook. This bad boy's got an exotic perk called Ignition Trigger. Keeping your finger on the trigger gets it superheated, boosting damage but singeing the user. It also has a perk called Heat Sink, which cools down the overheat damage when you're firing from the hip. Sure, you'll take some damage when overheated, but your continued fire will be giving your enemies Scorch. And don't sweat the self-damage because our setup lets us completely neutralize the Scorch damage. We're nixing the damage with our Healing Rift. That's right, we're not using Empowering Rift because we've got the Fragment of Torches giving us the Radiant buff. Plus, we're dropping Healing Nades for some extra health boost. When it comes to your heavy weapon, it's all about your playstyle, or what you need for the task at hand. Try to use a Solar Heavy, so we can synergize with our exotic. Time to delve into the realm of aspects. Our opening act is Icarus Dash. This shiny bauble is the embodiment of nimbleness, giving us the power to weave through the air as though we're masterfully evading bullets in a thrilling slow-motion action sequence. Touch of Flame is the backbone of our grenade blueprint. Equip this mighty aspect and your healing grenades lay down a double dose of restoration. Next on our roster, the thrilling world of Fragments. Leading the charge, we got Ember of Torches. With each powered melee strike against foes, you and your surrounding allies become radiant. Proceeding further, we've loaded up the Ember of Singeing. Your class ability revs up faster when you're scorching targets. This is pure gold, giving us access to healing when we need it most. Stepping up next, we got Ember of Empyrean. Land the final blow with this solar weapon or ability, and watch your restoration and radiant effects stick around for the afterparty. Alternatively, you can also equip Ember of Solace. This gem increases the duration of your radiant and restoration effects. It's a toss-up between the two, and I often switch depending on the situation. Bringing up the rear, but by no means least impressive, we're wielding Ember of Ashes. You're laying on more scorch stacks to your targets. This gem works hand in glove with Tommy's matchbook, because each shot is loading up more scorch stacks on your targets, leading to more sparks, more eruptions, and a battlefield bathed in glorious chaos. Let's plunge into the captivating realm of armor mods. Starting with the helmet, we're sporting Harmonic Siphon, a mod that metamorphoses quick solar weapon final blows into power orbs. Complementing it, we've got Dynamo, which accelerates our super's recharge rate when using class abilities close to enemies. Together, they create a high-speed super recharge rhythm that syncs beautifully with our exotic, enabling rapid-fire supers. Onto the gloves, we're wielding Momentum Transfer. This mod chips away at your melee cooldown each time you inflict grenade damage. We're also armed with one Bolstering Detonation, a mod that juices up your class ability energy whenever your grenade dishes out damage. Additionally, we're rocking Grenade Kickstart, a mod that injects you with grenade energy when your grenade energy is depleted. As for the chest, your preferred defensive mods are fair game. I personally lean towards Solar Resistance, Concussive Dampener, and Void Resistance. Moving down to the boots. We've got Innervation in place, a mod that trims your grenade cooldown every time you grab an orb of power. Next, we're sporting the Invigoration mod, which trims your melee cooldown with each power orb pickup. Lastly, we've outfitted ourselves with Stacks on Stacks, a mod that gives you an extra stack of armor charge for every power orb pickup. Lastly, on our Warlock bond, we're donning the Bomber mod, which slices off time from your grenade's cooldown when using your class ability. Additionally, we've got the Powerful Attraction mod, a newcomer in Season 21. This mod automatically hoovers up nearby power orbs when you trigger your class ability. This is a flexible spot, so feel free to mix it up according to your preference. Lastly, we're running the Reaper mod, which spawns a power orb after you utilize your class ability, amplifying the impact of your subsequent weapon final blow. Let's now set our sights on our potent seasonal mods, the final piece of the puzzle that completes our electrifying build. Keep in mind, Solar is not the highlight of the Season 21. However, we will go over some mods that we will be using in this build. To kick things off, we have 5 different variations of anti-champion mods. Pick one of each type anti-champion mod for the build. First off, let's explore our anti-barrier auto rifle mod. This gem ensures your equipped auto rifle fires rounds that can pierce shields and stun barrier champions. Next, we have the Unstoppable Hand Cannon. When you aim down the sights of a hand cannon for a brief moment, it loads a robust explosive payload that stuns unshielded enemies. It's potent against unstoppable champions, and your hand cannons stay overcharged when their respective modifier is active. The Overload Scout Rifle mod is next. Continually landing hits on enemies with any scout rifle causes disruption, slowing their ability energy regeneration and reducing their damage output. It's a formidable match for overload champions, and your scout rifles are kept overcharged when the appropriate modifier is on. Then we have the Overload Trace Rifle mod. Sustained fire from your equipped trace rifles causes the beam to stun enemies, delaying their ability energy regeneration and decreasing their damage. It's highly effective against overload champions, with your trace rifles always overcharged when the corresponding modifier is active. Finally, for the first row, we have Unstoppable Glaive. Glaives you wield fire a potent explosive payload that stuns unshielded enemies. It's a formidable adversary for unstoppable champions, and your glaives stay overcharged when their modifier is running. Moving to the second row, we chose an Authorized Melee. This gem significantly discounts the energy costs of all armor mods affecting your melee. In the third row, we don't have anything that helps our build. In the fourth column, essential mods for our build include Counter Charge, providing a stack of armor charge when you stun a champion. Finally, in the fifth row, we don't have anything that benefits this build. And with that, we bring today's electrifying journey to a close. We trust you found this potent build not only useful but also enlightening. But this is just the beginning. A torrent of Destiny content is poised to flood your way. This includes an array of more intricate builds, comprehensive weapon videos, and an abundance of seasonal content. As we gear up to dive into the season of the deep, remember this vital mantra: in the ever-evolving universe of Destiny, the only constant is change. Stay adaptable, stay innovative, and most importantly, stay vigilant. Keep your eyes peeled for updated builds, fresh strategies, and more in-depth analysis right here on Insightful Gaming. Until next time, have a great rest of your week.